Heavy metal as a genre has always courted controversy, but a few artists in particular are lightning rods for audience outrage. In many of the following cases, the artists included here had no intention of doing anything more than titillating their audience, but then there are the church-burning, bird-beheading, riot-starting bands who dropped bombs and never looked back. Not every one of the following controversies is as upsetting as the last, so it's up to you to vote and decide which ones are the heaviest of them all. Case 1. Mayhem's entire career. Mayhem ranks 5 on the best black metal bands of all time. Also ranks 25 on the 100+ best shock rock artists. Also ranks 143 on the greatest heavy metal bands of all time. Mayhem is one of the most fascinating, if not controversial, metal bands of all time. On one hand, they played a part in creating black metal, a genre designed to tear down the rules of rock and roll while looking straight into the abyss. Mayhem's music is not only bleak and nihilistic, but also free of the virtuosic confines that were strangling the metal genre at the time. In 1991, Mayhem graduated from talking about destroying polite society to actually giving it a shot. When their signer, Pelle Olin, aka Dead, died by suicide with a shotgun, the band took photos of his body and used the most horrendous image as the cover for one of their albums. In '92, Burzum frontman and Mayhem's then bassist Varg Vikernes inspired members of the black metal community to burn down 1,000-year-old churches in the name of erasing Christianity and Western modernity from Norway. Things escalated on August 10, 1993, when Vikernes stabbed Mayhem guitarist Øystein Aarseth aka Euronymous in his apartment. Vikernes was sentenced to 21 years for the crime. He was released in 2009 after serving nearly 15 years, but the black metal controversy stirred by Mayhem lives on. Case 2. Mötley Crüe's singer was convicted of manslaughter. Mötley Crüe is on ranks 1 on the 90+ best glam metal bands. Also ranks 2 on the best 80s hair metal bands, ranked by glam fans. Throughout the 80s, Mötley Crüe courted controversy as a means of free advertising, but their faux Satanism and hard-partying ways didn't draw nearly as much bad press as when singer Vince Neil got behind the wheel of his car on December 8, 1984, with Hanoi Rocks drummer Razzle in the passenger seat. At the time, Neil was under the influence and made a liquor store run in Hollywood. Neil ran straight into another car, injuring everyone inside and killing 24-year-old Razzle on impact. Neil served 30 days for vehicular manslaughter and paid a $2.5 million fee, then he went off to continue performing with Mötley Crüe at their peak. In 2010, he told Blender, "I wrote a $2.5 million check for vehicular manslaughter when Razzle died. I should have gone to prison. I definitely deserved to go to prison, but I did 30 days in jail and got laid and drank beer because that's the power of cash. That's awful." Case 3. Guns N' Roses caused a riot in Montreal. Guns N' Roses were the bad boys of the 1980s and early 90s.
Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games.
But sometimes being bad isn't so good. While on a co-headlining tour with Metallica in 1992, the hard-living hard rock band ruined everyone's good time after Metallica frontman James Hetfield received second-degree burns after he was accidentally hit with pyrotechnics during the intro to Fade to Black. Hetfield was rushed to the hospital, and rather than immediately take the stage and save the day, Guns N' Roses took their time getting in front of the audience and bounced after 55 minutes of starting and stopping. The already upset audience flipped when Axl Rose and company bailated, and a riot broke out that spilled out of the auditorium and into the streets. Stores were looted, cars were overturned, fires destroyed much of the area, and thousands of former Guns N' Roses fans burned the band's merch. Is the controversy still alive? No version of Guns N' Roses has played Montreal since 1992, so in many ways it's as if they're still avoiding the fallout. Case 4. Nine Inch Nails made a fake snuff film in the Sharon Tate house. Nine Inch Nails is ranked 18 of 301 on the greatest musical artists of the 90s. Trent Reznor spent much of his early career mired in controversy, but whether or not he deserves all the negative attention is up for debate. Following the release of the band's debut Pretty Hate Machine, he was public enemy number one in the industrial music scene for making music that was too pop-oriented, but the real nasty press came with the release of the Broken EP. Recorded in tandem with the Downward Spiral, tracking for the Broken EP took place at the infamous Sharon Tate murder house on 10,050 CeeLo Drive. Renamed Le Pig Studios, Reznor worked there for more than a year to craft some of the most brutal and disturbing music of his career. One of the many projects that Reznor worked on during his 18-month stay in the house was the Broken Movie, directed by Peter Christopherson of Throbbing Gristle and Coil. The 20-minute film works both as a long-form music video for the EP and a commentary on snuff films. More than just a collection of music videos, the film features scenes of fictional torture, murder, and suicide. It was never officially released, but Reznor did float copies to his friends, and those friends bootlegged the heck out of the Broken Movie. Reznor never meant to release the film because it felt too stunty, but the pirated copies made audiences believe Reznor had produced a legit snuff film full of real deaths. Shortly before his death, Christopherson commented on the film's notoriety and his regrets over the project. He's saying, "Because everyone was making bad dubs of bad dubs, what I considered at the time to be pretty obvious clues that this was a fake and actually making a comment about those things were lost by the bad quality. So unfortunately a lot of people, especially kids, started to believe that it was a real snuff movie. It was never my intention to bring harm to people. I do think people can be harmed seeing things, especially unexpectedly, that put them in the position of empathizing with someone being tortured and murdered. That's a hard thing to watch." Case 5. Motorhead's Lemmy wore Nazi memorabilia in a German photo shoot. It's an understatement to say that owning Nazi memorabilia is not chill, but no one ever accused Motorhead frontman Lemmy of being chill. The guy practically invented grimy, punk-influenced metal, so it shouldn't be a surprise that he's attracted to the darker side of life. In 2008, Lemmy drew a ton of negative press and an investigation from the German government after he wore Nazi paraphernalia in a photo shoot for a German newspaper. It's not a great look, but that's kind of Lemmy's whole thing. Owning anti-constitutional symbols is illegal under 2 articles of the German Penal Code, but Lemmy weathered the controversy without totally flipping out. In 2007, he told New York Waste, "From the beginning of time, the bad guys always had the best uniforms. Napoleon, the Confederates, the Nazis, they all had killer uniforms. I mean, the SS uniform is fucking brilliant. They were the rock stars of that time. What you're gonna do, they just look good. It's not a nationalistic kind of thing. Don't tell me I'm a Nazi 'cause I have uniforms. I just don't understand racism. I never thought it was an option." Case 6. Metallica went to war with their audience by suing Napster. When Napster made its way online in the late 90s, it allowed users to trade music through its peer-to-peer network. Suddenly, music was free to anyone with an internet connection, and Metallica was less than thrilled with this new technological endeavor. After an unfinished version of their track, I Disappear, leaked to 20 radio stations via Napster, the band, along with the RIAA, sued the upstart tech company USC, Yale, Indiana University, and some 300,000 users for copyright infringements, unlawful use of digital audio interface device, and violations of the Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act, aka RICO. Even though Metallica was absolutely right to recognize the slippery slope created by Napster, the way they went about it led their audience to not just turn on them but tear them to shreds. Metallica is still one of the biggest bands in the world, but in the early 2000s, they were public enemy number one because of their stance on online music trading. Case 7. Rammstein wrote a song for a German cannibal. Rammstein also ranks 1 on the best industrial metal bands. Also ranks 1 on the 50+ best German rock bands. German metal dudes. Rammstein got into trouble with the wrong cannibal when they released the song Mein Teil, My Piece, based on the crimes of Armin Meiwes. Meiwes was sentenced to just over 8 years in prison for meeting a man on the internet and eating him. To make matters more upsetting, Mayus filmed the crime before claiming he did nothing wrong because his victim wanted to be eaten. Rammstein guitarist Richard Kruspe told MTV.com that he wrote the song as a way to try and understand how someone could get to that point in their lives. Mayus sued the band after claiming he never gave the band permission to tell his story in their music. The lawsuit didn't harm the band's prospects, as the single was nominated for Best Metal Performance at the 48th Grammy Awards. Case 8. Ozzy Osbourne has a thing for biting off animal heads. Ozzy Osbourne is also ranked 7 of 248 on the 200-plus best rock frontmen of all time. Also ranks 6 on the greatest heavy metal bands of all time. Ozzy is a heavy metal icon who somehow managed to transform from a devil-worshipping madman into cuddly reality TV star. But in 1981, Ozzy was far away from being the beloved, Crazy Train singer. He was down and out after being kicked out of Black Sabbath and wanted to claw his way back to the top any way he could, but Ozzy has always been in the way of Ozzy. In 1981, Ozzy signed with CBS Records, and to celebrate, he planned on releasing Doves in the label's boardroom as a gesture of peace. The only problem was that the singer was blackout drunk at the time, and instead of releasing the doves, he grabbed one and bit its head off before spitting it out. Somehow he managed to survive this controversy and make his way to Veterans Memorial Auditorium in Des Moines, Iowa, in 1982. While performing, he thought someone threw a toy bat onto the stage, so he bit its head off. It wasn't a toy. According to Ozzy, he had to be treated for rabies shortly after the incident. Rather than destroy his reputation, these incidents only bolstered Ozzy's celebrity in the eyes of the audience. He may be controversial, but nothing's going to stop metal fans from loving Ozzy. We lost him on July 22, 2025. Rest in peace, Ozzy. Case 9. Alice Cooper threw a live chicken into the audience. He's also ranks 18 on the greatest heavy metal bands of all time and also ranks 21 on the 200-plus best rock frontmen of all time. Before he was everyone's favorite golf-playing shock rocker, Alice Cooper was frightening parents with his spooky stage show and songs filled with teenage angst. Strangely enough, it wasn't Cooper's music that caused controversy in 1969 but an incident with a chicken. During a performance at the Toronto Rock and Roll Revival Festival, Cooper threw a chicken into the audience, who in turn ripped it to shreds. Cooper claims that someone from the audience threw the chicken on stage and that he threw it into the air because he thought chickens could fly. Bassist Dennis Dunaway says that's not really the case. Dunaway says the band traveled with 2 chickens named Larry and Pecker, and Cooper accidentally tossed one of them into the audience. Regardless of what really happened, the band was picketed by animal rights organizations at every gig following the incident. Today, the chicken moment follows Cooper in story alone, but it remains one of the best-known stories about the singer. Case 10. Slipknot's lyrics allegedly inspired 2 horrific crimes. Slipknot is also ranks 1 on the best musical artists from Iowa, USA. Out of all the new metal bands of the late 90s and early 2000s, Slipknot is the band that managed to combine mainstream success with unhinged energy to create a heavy metal spectacle worthy of throwing up the devil horns. Unfortunately, in 2003, the band was blamed for inspiring 2 people to stab their 22-year-old friend more than 20 times after listening to the song Disasterpiece. As if that wasn't bad enough, the band caught more hell when the lyrics to Surfacing from their 1999 debut were found at the site of a Kansas grave robbery in 2006. The band refused to comment on both matters. Case 11. Slayer faced protests after releasing Christ Illusion. Slayer is also ranks 1 on 100 band names that go hard AF. Slayer's whole vibe has always been loud, fast music that's everything, with lyrics that are highly critical of organized religion. Although the band had been releasing music for years, a Christian group known as the Catholic Secular Forum protested Slayer's album Christ Illusion for featuring a zombie version of Jesus on the cover. The group also had issues with the lyrics to Skeleton Christ, a kind of ironic Hail Satan track. The real problem started for Slayer after CSF complained to the Mumbai police commissioner about the song Jihad, claiming it would affect the sensibilities of Muslims and secular Indians who have respect for all faiths. The album was pulled from shelves in India in 2006, but the guys in Slayer responded that it was just Slayer being Slayer. Case 12. Judas Priest was accused of hiding subliminal messages in their music. Judas Priest is also ranked 4 of 259 on the greatest heavy metal bands of all time. Judas Priest led the NWOBHM new wave of British heavy metal to mainstream success with songs about partying hard and breaking the law. But in 1985, the unthinkable happened. Two young men in Nevada shot themselves after allegedly listening to the band's 1978 album Stained Class. In 1990, the victims' families sued Judas Priest after claiming the group placed a subliminal message in the song Better by You, Better Than Me that said, "Do it." After a nearly month-long trial, the judge ruled that there was no such subliminal message in the album, but the allegations of Priest's satanic machinations followed the band for years. Case 13. Lamb of God was banned from playing in Malaysia.
Walk with me in hell!
Lamb of God is also ranks 2 on the best groove metal bands, ranks 6 on best metal bands from the American South, and also ranks 6 on the best heavy metal bands of 2025. Lamb of God's whole thing is being an in-your-face, groovy thrash metal band. Initially known as Burn the Priest, Lamb of God has always been on the edge of good taste. In 2013, the Malaysian government claimed the band went too far with its blasphemous lyrics and refused to allow the group to perform in their country. The Malaysian government felt that Lamb of God's music would lead Muslims astray with the band's lyrical content, specifically because they've been known to use excerpts from the Quran and the Bible in their work. Upon learning of their ban, the group posted a rebuff of the Malaysian government's decision on their Facebook that read in part, "It is very evident and a bit frustrating that the groups, parties and powers that have taken the most offense to our music and lyrics have themselves only made a passing glance at the content and meanings of those songs." Case 14. Metallica cut their hair in the 90s, and everyone freaked out. You don't sit on top of Metal Mountain for 40 years and not draw a little controversy, but blue-collar heroes Metallica managed to stay relatively drama-free until about a decade into their career. Their fans revolted in 1996 when the band revealed a quartet of shocking short haircuts during the press cycle for the follow-up to their massive self-titled album. With the release of 1996's Load, the group trimmed their hair and put on a little eyeliner for a set of press photos, and shit hit the fan. The public perception of this move was that Metallica all went to super cuts on the same day at the behest of their management, but drummer Lars Ulrich says that isn't really the case. While speaking with WJRR in 2017, Ulrich commented on the controversy. "This was back in the day when there was no social media, and when you're off the radar, you're off the radar. And then Load came out and all of a sudden there was like, whoa, they all got haircuts. Obviously we didn't get haircuts at the same time, we just all decided individually at different times to somewhat trim our hair. And then people came to the conclusion that that was some sort of contrived, purposeful undertaking, which of course it wasn't. People always find an angle to hit you in the places where you least expect it, and you have to accept that." Thanks for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to follow our channel and add comment.